Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Sir Hunt on X, live from a very wet and stormy day in Cincinnati, Ohio. Hope everyone had themselves a wonderful 29th of April 2025. And it's still wet and stormy over here in Cincinnati, as it's been virtually all day. So I'm going to go ahead and get right down to it here real quick. Before I proceed, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about this for a second. Got a little pushback about my statement regarding Daniel Dubois as the fake heavyweight champion. It has to do with how the sport is run, and because of how the sport is run, you're going to have champions like this. I've never been a fan of rewarding belts to fighters who really don't deserve it. They need to fight it in the ring and win it, and that's why I give Daniel Dubois that distinction of the fake heavyweight champion. So like I do to David Benavidez as the fake light heavyweight champion, and that is where we are stuck in the sport of boxing. So it is something I want to get out of the way. And I am a fan of Daniel Dubois. I think he's a good fighter, but would have liked to see him win the title in the ring to give him more credibility. But he wanted to hand it to him, and that's why I acknowledge him as the fake heavyweight champion. It's more of how the sport has become because we have so many of these in the sport today. So I will touch on more of that closer to the fight he has coming up July the 19th at Wembley Stadium against Alexander Usyk. Now we're going to get right down to it here real quick. Of course, the news in the NFL today was the signing of George Kittle to the 4-year contract with San Francisco. People all over the place thought he was leaving. I told everyone the chances of that were slim to none, and Slim couldn't find its way into town, and my point was proven. Of course, one of the spaces I'm on busted out the rumor a few days before, and then Kittle shot it down, only to turn out that the original rumor was right after all, that he wasn't going anywhere, that he was going to be put in San Francisco. Of course, the team is not going anywhere, but hard for me to see George Kittle in another uniform. I've always been the fan of finishing your career where you started, not in all team sports, whether it be baseball, soccer, NBA, NFL. This goes on and on. And it was like George Kittle, barring something crazy at the back end of his career, is going to finish his career as a 49er. Now, of course, where they go from here, who knows? Because the roster is a mess. But they do keep George Kittle. He wasn't going anywhere. A lot of that rumors of Kittle going anywhere can just cease and desist for now because he's not going anywhere. Now I'm going to touch on some local news here today. It's in tune with the NFL because I see some of you Ohio followers over here. You guys really appalled by what the Bengals did in the NFL draft? Because I'm not. I mean, they got Fairchild, the offensive guard for Georgia, who I think will be a good one, but that's about it. I mean, I was at a restaurant in Cincinnati Thursday night. It was Thursday night. I was at a restaurant when the buzz was who were the Bengals going to pick 17th overall. And then when the name Shamar Stewart came up, in typical Bengals fan fashion, they had their panties all up in a bunch because they didn't like the pick. Now they're trying to say they're warm to the pick, but we'll find out in the next 3 to 5 years when the guy's no longer on an NFL roster. Question is, how can you fathom this after you guys forced this envelope to want Jamar Chase and T. Higgins paid the highest paid wide receiver duo in NFL history, which you got? And the platform is now officially changed to where you guys in Cincinnati are now Super Bowl or bust mentality. Because if you don't register at least 2 Super Bowls over the next 5 years, which is the duration of the contracts of Burrow, Chase, and Higgins, it's an underachievement and a bad one too. Because the days of using the defense as an excuse, using the offensive line as an excuse, is officially dead. And I said your draft needed to be almost close to picture perfect for you guys to ascend to that status of a Super Bowl contender. You didn't. I mean, you guys might still get in the playoffs with 10 wins or 11 wins, but does that get you anywhere? You guys should have been pushing hard for better players and a better draft. Of course, the moron Bengals captain wanted to carry himself like a jackass on ESPN because he's a bona fide coward. That didn't help the cause either. But it also didn't help that you guys pushed the narrative for when Jamar Chase and T. Higgins paid, but you guys want to give your draft a pass because it was just an absolute catastrophic failure when you draft Shamar Stewart when there's better players available, and you have the ongoing situation with Trey Hendrickson, which has everybody in Cincinnati all up in a bunch. This is where I lost you guys a couple years ago. And this is where I stay over here, and I keep myself a further distance from many of them, because not even the average sock puppet could have this low of an IQ as a collective fan base. And I said all along, I will be starting holding people accountable if results aren't generated. It's not about what you do now. It's not about what you do in the next 5 minutes. It's what you're going to be doing for the duration of the decade, because you're paying three guys nearly $600 million. And if you don't get the job done at least twice during that period, it'll be a bigger failure than Enron was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And if you're in the business and financial field, you know what happened to Enron. That's where the Bengals are staring at. Now, of course, they in Hamilton County want to take the pocket money out of taxpayers to fund upgrades for their stadium, because they don't want to, because they don't want to spend the money themselves due to the cowardice over there, as always. And now we're having another fight over what's going on in Cincinnati. But I will touch on that topic tomorrow or within the next day, because on knowledge, I don't know enough. But apparently a vote passed for this upgrades to the stadium, totaling some area of $164 million, which I'm fine with it. Now, talking about like almost a $1.2 billion project to the end of the 2029 decade. But if you're going to do that, you better start generating results, because anything you do is irrelevant unless there are results, and the results are seen across the world. And right now, those results are Super Bowl or bust. That's where you are from now to the end of the 20th decade. And good luck, because the way you guys drafted in the 2025 draft, I was there seeing everything firsthand out of my own two eyes. You basically made my point about you guys for the longest time. I mean, you got a linebacker in the second round who was just beyond a reach. I mean, he would have been available in the fourth or fifth round. I said, you got a Fairchild, the offensive guard from Georgia. That one I think was a solid one. Got a decent linebacker in the fourth round. Good, but not great. Got Jalen Rivers, the offensive tackle from Miami. Maybe somewhere, a project probably a year or two down the line, maybe taking Orlando Brown Jr.'s place when he's finally out the door. But then you waste a sixth-round pick on a running back, which was just a definition of idiotic senselessness, because you guys want to show the world why you're the biggest idiots when it comes to running an NFL organization in Cincinnati. Or because you wanted to pick a running back in the sixth round. That made no sense. So, now, where you guys go roster-wise, I have no idea, because everybody knows they don't like to spend the cash. I mean, they got to have to spend it on the draft picks, and they're going to have to basically find ways to go outside their comfort zone when it comes to the salary cap. And, of course, we have some moron named Patrick Carey who thinks that they should sign Justin Simmons and Dalton Risner, which they don't do anything. They don't move the needle. But then again, Patrick Carey is too hooked on heroin and Skyline Chili's over there in Cincinnati, so I don't have anything to say to him. So, but good luck down the line. I'll look forward to talking to you guys during the NFL season. But I'll just say this, like I said last year, you're not going to like what I'm going to have to say, because I'm not going to bow down to anyone, and I will speak the truth, whatever platform I'm on. Now, to a more positive news here in Cincinnati, it is the craze that's been trending upward over the last 3 or 4 years. Actually, more of a craze than the Bengals. The only reason why it's a better craze is because they're more organic fans in FC Cincinnati than there are the crux of Bengals fans in Cincinnati who don't know how to conduct themselves. Only reason being is FC Cincinnati fans have the biggest passion, but they have a soccer product that is selling right now, and is selling quite well, because they've won 5 straight, unbeaten in the last 6. And it's basically the same start they had 2 seasons ago, where they went to win the Supporters Shield in Major League Soccer, which had the most points across the soccer league, which what FC Cincinnati did in 2023. Can they get back there again? Absolutely they can. I mean, I said all along, when they got the standouts Evander and Kevin Denke, they got deeper, better goal scoring. Nick Hagland's supposed to be back here soon if he's not back already. But as long as Matt Miazga is not carrying himself like an idiot, they can go places. That's going to be the key. Matt Miazga can't carry himself like an idiot. But FC Cincinnati is probably the real talk of the town right now. More of a talk to the Reds and the Bengals because they're putting together a winning product and they have a more organic fan base than the Reds and Bengals do put together because they show up for tailgates and opening day parades hooked on their Skyline Chili's, alcohol, whatever drug they want to be on, and wind up in the Hamilton County Justice Center. While FC Cincinnati fans just cherish the moment, and the soccer players and the fans, the electricity rubs off each other. And because of that, FC Cincinnati has a winning product in Cincinnati when it comes to Major League Soccer. They're cooking right now. They've won 5 straight, and they got a couple, I don't want to say easy ones because there's no such thing as an easy game in any sport. But 2 games I think they should win as long as they keep it going. Like to see more side-to-side movement when it comes to soccer, moving the defense, like you almost see in basketball or even in hockey, where more passes are around it to make defenses work a little bit. Still a little too much one-on-one play, but for the most part, they're winning games, and we haven't even seen them scratch the surface yet of the 2025 Major League Soccer season. There's not this Saturday, but next Saturday, I will be there. I'll be bringing the show, and I'm looking forward to doing soccer previews on my shows coming up here soon because FC Cincinnati has a hell of a product that's selling, hell of a product that's doing work, and I'm looking forward to being a part of it. Actually, I've been to that place a few times. The most electric thing I've ever been a part of. In fact, the equivalent of me driving from my town to London on the freaking expressway because it has that EuroLeague-like atmosphere, especially for those in the EuroLeague's Cup plays, the FIFA World Cup. The electricity and atmosphere has that kind of a feel in Cincinnati. Granted, they only seat max 30,000, and it's because of the different dynamic, but it is fun stuff, and I'm always looking forward to it. All I got to say is all for Cincy. Love you guys down there at the Bailey, by the way. Now to some news in college football. It is Minter and Clinkscale. I can't pronounce the individuals' names. 2 guys from the Michigan Boosters placed on show cause for 1 and 2 years, respectively, simply because of recruiting violations. We know that goes on all over college football, but it's been redundant over here in Michigan, and there's people all over the place calling for something to be done. But our knowledge, there's a reason why they went to the NFL as fast as they did. I mean, not even the Roadrunner could run from Wile E. Coyote that fast. I mean, that's how fast Michigan went to the NFL after they won the national title. I mean, beep, beep, not even the Roadrunner could run that fast. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. They were pushy to get in the NFL. We talk about Jim Harbaugh, among many others. Maybe this is why. Because maybe there was something we all didn't know. Now, I'm not going to go as far as saying the national title is tainted. That's basically Ohio State fans, though I understand it. I don't use the word taint for such a thing. Nobody knows enough yet. But if you think of how quickly the members of this Michigan staff, whatever it is, ran out the door to other jobs, especially the coaches in the NFL, you knew something was happening. I said, not even the Roadrunner could run from Wile E. Coyote that fast. And I mean, this was fast. I mean, the Roadrunner would be jealous. It's no one. These guys ran that fast. I mean, beep, beep, that's how Michigan, these guys left. I get it. I mean, but we all know this goes on across college football anyways, especially with the transfer portal, among many other things. But that's how this stuff goes. We all know this. So what happens with the national title that they won a couple years back? I don't know. I'm not a college football expert, or I'm not one with a 7 foot wide, I don't know what the hell they wear. Wild mushroom heads with a crystal ball with a 7 foot long gray beard with a wrinkled face, like it's someone who's 200 years old, predicting, let's see what happens what Michigan's going to do. Nope, that's not me, because I'm just going to sit back and wait for the results, and I'm going to analyze. Because I said, I'm not an insider. I'm just an analyst. I see everything you guys say. I see everything everybody says. I take notes in my head, and I make my own analysis. And that's what I'm doing here. But like I said, the Roadrunner couldn't run from Wile E. Coyote faster than the way Michigan ran from all of this, especially the key pieces of the coaching staff. I mean, they ran real quick. Beep, beep, I mean, not like Roadrunner would be jealous of that. So that takes care of all of that. Now to, I guess everyone wants to call this my specialty, which I'll acknowledge this. I've been longer in the boxing game more than any other sport. But when it comes to the mic, I've been more in the NFL and NBA side of things than I was in boxing. So I had no specialty. I specialize in every sport. It's just now with the fad of FC Cincinnati and soccer, it just expands my horizons and expands my brand or whatever the heck you want to call it. Just gives me something extra to talk to and brings more creativity to my particular show. But before I get to the historical part, I have to give the biggest shout out to two guys overseas over the weekend because I didn't do this yesterday. I do apologize. That happens to be Connor Ben and Chris Eubank Jr. You guys over there in England can say a lot of things about those two. Good, bad, pretty, ugly, whatever. But I got to give them their due for this. They put on the 2025 Fight of the Year at Tottenham Saturday. Just live the legacies of their respective fathers, Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Sr. Put on a whale of a fight. I mean, I think both guys' stock went up. I mean, they both carry themselves like a bunch of, what a lot of us probably fight hype. We all know this. But they carry themselves like a bunch of individuals who are just questionable in character. But when it came down to put up or shut up time, both guys put up, and those both deserve props for a hell of a show they put Saturday in Tottenham, England. And you guys over there in the UK should be just applauding and being proud of those guys because when it came down to putting up, Connor Ben and Chris Eubank Jr. did. I think both guys' stock went up. I mean, no one's going to, put them in the all-time great stature, or they won't be anywhere as good as their respective fathers were. But their stock rose. Both of them did. They're talking about running it back. Have at it. I mean, you guys just lit up the UK Saturday. Kudos to both of them. And kudos to over there in London for showing out on that particular night. And those watching all over the platforms, all over the watch-alongs. Kudos to all you guys in London. That was your weekend. Props to you guys. Just thought I'd touch that out of the way. So now we get to the historical perspective. 30 years ago today, maybe one of the all-time explosive knockouts to take place south of the heavyweight division. This was at the U.S. Air Arena in Landover, Maryland. It was a knockdown, drag-out match between junior middleweight champ Vincent Pettway and the standout welterweight Simon Brown, who won 3 titles in 2 weight classes, trying to rekindle the fire. Started out real good, floored Pettway twice in the first 3 rounds, was floored early himself, and both guys were just giving and taking vicious exchanges all over the place. But of course, that moment in the 6th round where it looked like Brown was going to get to Pettway, the subtle mistake, and of course, the left hook that Simon Brown's head hit the canvas so hard, Simon Brown started swinging jabs in the air while he was on the canvas. One of the more electrical, what would be the word to use? I'll think about this as I talk about it. But I haven't seen anything like it where a guy gets hit so hard to where his body is tantalizing on the canvas and throwing punches in the air while he's on the canvas. That's what happened to Simon Brown against Vincent Pettway. Reminds me of what Mike McCallum did to Donald Curry in '87 when, Curry and Brown, respectively, they made the mistakes. They got caught with the left hooks. They were stretched out on the canvas, down and out for the count. Party was over. Goes to show you one little mistake in this sport. Doesn't matter what division it is. I mean, facing punchers the caliber of a Vincent Pettway, because Pettway was a puncher in his day. You make that mistake, doesn't matter how good your chin is, you're on the canvas, party is over. Ask Simon Brown about it, because he got hit so hard, he was just swinging like light jabs in the air while he was on his back. Haven't seen anything like it. I mean, Simon Brown wound up being a Hall of Famer, 3-time world champion in 2 weight classes. They can argue this was the end for him because he was knocked out in subsequent fights by Bernard Hopkins and David Reed. Pettway never could get to that level. Lost his championship to Paul Vaden, then eventually lost to Terry Norris in 1996. But what they did 30 years ago, and then basically knockdown, drag out, set the fireworks off type match in Landover, Maryland, the capper being the left hook by Vincent Pettway, that floored Simon Brown so hard, Brown was swinging punches in the air while he was floored. That should tell you the tantalizing power that Vincent Pettway displayed that night. So, you guys want to see explosive knockouts, explosive highlight reel knockouts? Pull that one up, because that one is a can't miss. Enjoy it. And I conclude, speaking of my fellows over in London, it was 25 years ago today at Madison Square Garden, where Lennox Lewis took on the young upstart Michael Grant and just crushed him in 2 rounds. This was after he cleaned out the heavyweight division of the 90s, became the heavyweight of the 90s with the back-to-back wins over Evander Holyfield, while Mike Tyson was ducking him twice, while Riddick Bowe was ducking him. So instead of just taking on anyone he wanted, he could just take the easy route until the whole Mike Tyson thing came through. He takes on the young upstart Michael Grant, who was undefeated. Some people thought he would win and had a good chance of winning, had at least a bright future going in, but made the mistake of trying to go after Lennox Lewis. And what happened? He got caught, and that was all she wrote. And that was the end of Michael Grant, because he never could get back to anywhere close to the potential he had going into this fight with Lennox Lewis, because there were some who thought Grant not only had a shot of winning, but there were some who thought he would win, because people thought Lewis would have a letdown after the 2 fights with Evander Holyfield in 1999. That didn't happen. Lennox Lewis just turned it up, fought the best young prospect at his absolute best, and just demolished him in 2 rounds. I mean, the capper was the uppercut where Michael Grant just greatly collapsed on the canvas and was just counted out. But the thing about this is, for the longest time when Lennox Lewis came to America from London, he had to earn respect the hard way, because the American public didn't buy his act. I mean, this was at a time in the 90s, heavyweights in the American boxing community was sizzling. I mean, Buster Douglas, Evander Holyfield, Ray Mercer, Tommy Morrison, Riddick Bowe, who ducked Lennox Lewis, by the way, David Tua, among many others. You could probably throw some of these second-tier heavyweights, like an Oliver McCall, who won a championship, Bruce Seldon, who won a championship, among many others. But whenever Lennox Lewis came to the United States, I don't know if it was an American thing or if it was the attitude of Lennox Lewis that rubbed the American boxing intelligentsia off the wrong way, but they just didn't buy his act. But when he started beating top fight fighters in America, like they did with Ray Mercer in 96, the 2 against Evander Holyfield in 99, and what he did here to Michael Grant in 2000, he finally earned it, and he finally earned his due here. I mean, his status is all-time great. History is second to none. You're talking about a top 6 all-time great heavyweight. I mean, 3-time world champion legitimately. I mean, the top guys didn't want to fight him for the longest time. I mean, you know the story with Riddick Bowe throwing the belt in the garbage can. We know Mike Tyson ducked him twice in 96 before they finally fought in 2002, where Lewis just took him to the cleaners. And among many other fighters, Evander Holyfield didn't want him for the longest time till there was no other choice for the Holyfield-Lewis fight to take place, the 2 times in 1999. Anybody with a functioning brain knows Lennox Lewis won both fights. The first one really by a wipeout, despite what the official results said. And Lennox Lewis got his vindication, his long-sought vindication, when he got the rematch against Evander Holyfield and won the unanimous decision there. And the vindication continued when he just obliterated Michael Grant and just put him out of the heavyweight stratosphere for good, because he never came close to that level ever again. Lewis would have a couple more fights before he beat David Tua, starched Franz Botha in London in 2 rounds. Then, of course, we finally got the Mike Tyson fight in June 8, 2002. Everybody knows what happened. Gave Mike Tyson the beating of his life, well-deserved. Had one more fight against Vitaly Klitschko, the young upstart of the Klitschko brothers, won a 6-round TKO, and that was it. Some people thought there should have been a rematch, but Lennox Lewis basically said, what more do I have to prove? I mean, he fought, if you were remotely good after Mike Tyson ducked him in 96 twice, anyone who was remotely good, Lennox Lewis wanted him. I mean, the names are outstanding. Talk about top 5 all-time great heavyweight resume. I mean, the names out there it's a who's who out there. And even after the 2 losses to Oliver McCall and Hasim Rahman, he avenged them emphatically. The draw with Evander Holyfield, which really wasn't, he avenged that. So technically, he beat everybody he fought in the ring. And that's why his stature as a top 6 all-time great heavyweight is secure. Some put him in the top 3 or 4. I get it. I don't partake in ranking systems because there's no set criteria for it. But if I had to put my list, he in the top 6, he's on it. Just because he avenged the losses and he did it emphatically. Because of it, he beat every opponent that he faced. That's why he's great. But as I said, for Michael Grant, had outstanding potential. Never could quite get to that point. But maybe the fight before when he fought Andrew Galata sort of softened him up for this, because remember, Galata had his moments for Grant early and looked like he was going to get an early round knockout on Grant. But we know what happens with Andrew Galata when things got tough. The guy becomes a mental midget, and that's how Michael Grant escaped the Andrew Galata fight. And at that point, he got the Lennox Lewis title shot, and we know what happened at the end. Lennox Lewis just got the business handled, and he took care of Michael Grant in 2 rounds. All-time greats, Lennox Lewis. A lot of people nitpick his legacy. Have at it, but it doesn't matter. He's an all-time great in your top 6. Standout all-time heavyweight with all the others. And no, I don't divulge in fantasy matchups because I think that's for people who have no lives living in their mama's basement, and it's also the definition of intentional stupidity. But Lennox Lewis is an all-time great, whether the American public likes it or not. Deal with it. And that'll wrap up this short, sweet edition of Sirhan on X. I will be back tomorrow night. Lots of goodies to get to. Hope everyone had themselves a wonderful 29th of April, 2025. And as always, make self-care your number 1 priority in life. Take care of yourself first before you take care of anything else. If you don't take care of yourself first, nothing else matters. You take care of yourself first, good things follow, and good things come your way. Always take care of yourself first, and that makes self-care number 1 over everything else in all walks of life. Have a good rest of the night. Take care of yourselves, and God bless.